Good evening and welcome to the first ever IEEE Young Professional Leadership Forum hosted by Region 3 Young Professionals.
And
We have with us today the top IEEE leadership of Region 3. First off, we have Region 3 Director Jill Gostin. Welcome, Jill, and thank you for being here. Next, we
thank
have
you.
Region 3. Oh, sorry.
I just said thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Region 3 Director.
Thank you, Bill. You gave me two things to speak.
Welcome, Teresa.
Thank you.
Then, representing the large IEEE leadership, the, uh, the IEEE President-elect 2020, IEEE President 2021, Kathy Land. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
Now, last but not least, we have a star young professional leader of Region 3. He is the Florida West Coast Section Young Professional Affinity Group Chair, TJ Ross. Welcome, TJ.
Thank you.
So, on behalf of Region 3 Young Professionals, I would like to welcome all our young professional members as well as the Region 3 leaders to this event. Now, this event has three sections. In the first section, the panelists will introduce themselves. The second, they will present their vision, strategy, action plans, or any other messages directed towards our young professionals in Region 3. The last section, we have we are going to converse. It's going to be a bi-directional conversation between the leaders and the young professionals. We will give our participants the ability to connect via voice, but we also have a bank of questions we got from uh, from our members through a form that we circulated. So without further ado, let's start with the introductions. To introduce myself, I'm Hassan Dharmardhan, your host today. I am the Region 3 Young Professionals Coordinator, so I represent the interest of you, the young professionals of Region 3, in our Region 3 committee. So professionally, I'm an electric power engineer and used to design, build, and commission electric high voltage substations. Currently, I'm a final year PhD student at the Clemson University. Now, some interesting facts about me. I have lived in four continents. I've lived in Asia, Africa, Europe, and North America. And I have volunteered for I have volunteered for IEEE in three of these continents. Another interesting fact about me is one of the bad habits that I have, and I'd say addictions I have, and that is that I am addicted to reading books, and I have been getting therapy. So, but I'm really better right now. But there was a time when I counted that I had read close to 400 books in 1 year. Okay, so that my introduction. So my introduction comes to an end on myself, but for the next introduction, I'd like to give you the IEEE Region 3 Director, Jill Gustin.
Thanks, Hasla, and thank you to both you and Patrick for putting this together. I really appreciate it, and think it's a great idea. So thank you for that. As Hasla said, I am the Region 3 Director. For those of you that don't know, IEEE has 10 regions that span the globe, and our region, Region 3, covers the southeastern United States and Jamaica. In addition to serving IEEE on the membership side, I've also served on the technical activities side. I've served on the Computer Society Board of Governors as the Vice President of Finance for the Censors Council, and I have chaired and been treasurer for several conferences. Training-wise, I am a mathematician. I have a master's degree in mathematics, but for work, I work on radar systems, and I have worked at the Georgia Tech Research Institute since 1985. Almost all of that has been on radar systems. For a short time, I served as a deputy director of one of our labs, the Information and Communications Lab. Most of my work now is model-based systems engineering and test planning for radar systems. In 2016, I was named Georgia's Women in Technology Woman of the Year. I think Teresa has that same distinction, and that was a big honor for me. Some interesting things. I, like Hasla, have an obsession with books. I've never been to therapy for it, but it has been very difficult for me to ever get rid of books. I can't get them from the library. I have to buy them and have them. So in my most recent move to a new house, the hardest thing was getting rid of a lot of books. I have 2 kids. My oldest is a girl. She just finished her master's degree in August, and my youngest, the boy, he just finished his bachelor's, actually 2 bachelor's degrees and a legal certificate in December. And that's something that I really love to do. I love spending time with my family. As I said, I read obsessively, and I love to cook. That's everything from me.
Thank you, Jill. Those are some very interesting facts that we we really like to hear those things from our leaders. The next, for the next introduction, I'd like to invite the region IEEE Region 3 Director Elect, Teresa Brunasso. Teresa, Teresa, I think you're on mute. We cannot hear you.
Sorry about that. Um, I am a working engineer. My undergraduate degree was in physics, and then I did my graduate work in double E. I own my own business now doing consulting, and I am a frequent volunteer with IEEE, both at the section level, the region level, and the technical activities level. And as Jill mentioned, I was also named Georgia's Woman of the Year, but in 2008, because I'm much older than her. I am a U.S. Navy veteran, and my husband, Brian Bowe, is a math professor at the University of Georgia. And my fun activities, I love to travel, hike, cook, and laugh.
Thank you, Teresa. For our next introduction, I give to you the IEEE President-elect, Kathy Land.
Thank you. So I come from a little different background. I'm actually a software engineer. So I'm quite, I guess I'm proud to represent IEEE's broader field of interest. If you go and look at the stated field of interest for IEEE, and it's pretty well represented by IEEE's societies and councils. IEEE is known for its electrical engineers, but they're computer scientists and communication engineers and power engineers and many other types of people that are in all types of technology. So I'm one of those folks. My background is I started programming right out of school and sort of worked my way up leading project teams. And my day job, I'm under ballistic missile defense. I've been with MDA for about 10 years for command control, battle management, and communications. And that's basically what connects the sensors or the radars to the shooters, which is the missiles that hopefully shoot down the incoming danger. So that's what I do for a day job. And I've been a volunteer for IEEE for about 25 years. Been very privileged. It's a dedication of service that I feel is an honor. And I recently, my most recent, before this job that I'm serving in, I was the vice president for technical activities. I've been the president of the IEEE Computer Society, lots of other jobs. Anyway, and I've been active in Region 3. So I know Teresa and Jill very well, and they're wonderful people to serve with. A couple of interesting things about me. I live on a farm. That's where I'm connecting to you from. And I have horses and um, other animals, and so that's what I do in my off time. So I have kind of a different life, I guess, than a lot of folks. But I drive a long way to work, and then when I disconnect, I'm on the farm. So that's what I do in my spare time.
Thank you, Kathy. So I'm expecting that the next retreat that the directors will be having might be on a farm.
Well, anytime you're near Huntsville, Alabama, anybody's welcome to visit me. My door's always open.
Thank you so much for that invitation and for your introduction. So for the next introduction, I give to you the chair of the Florida West Coast section, Young Professionals Affinity Group, TJ Ross.
Hello. I'm an electrical engineer working in the field of material science metrology. We focus on the semiconductor industry. I've been doing that for the last 3 years. I graduated with my master's in 2017 at the University of South Florida. I've been working towards my PE. Hopefully, we'll be able to take the exam by the end of this year. That's my goal. And I'm like you mentioned, the Florida West Coast Section's Young Professionals Chair. I've been the chair since 2016, and I've been an active member as far as volunteering for IEEE since probably about 2013. Used to be the chair of my University of South Florida chapter. As far as interesting things about me, I'm a cyclist. I love to get out and ride long rides. I've ridden 3 century rides in the last 10 years. That's riding 100 miles in one day. Lately, I've been working towards my scuba diving license, so I can go diving whenever I want. And that's it for me.
Thank you, TJ. For the last introduction, we do have Patrick Campbell. Patrick, are you connected?
I am, sir.
Would you like to
So,
introduce yourself? Yeah.
sure, I'll do a very brief. So it's great meeting everyone and hearing about everybody. I'm coming from the New Orleans Region 5 area. I've got a bachelor's in science and psychology as well as electrical engineering. And I am a power engineer, mainly industrial clients as well as project management. And I am part of the YP and the Raleigh area, as well as the Women in Engineering and the PES. And I've also just been elected as secretary for the North Carolina State Council.
Thank you, Patrick. So, in Region 3, we are really blessed to have such a wonderful set of leaders, starting from our leaders from the region, the director, the president-elect, and our young professional leaders. So the next section is the presentations from our IEEE leaders. Now we do have a limit, so we will be limiting the presentations from our in this section to a maximum of 7 minutes each. And our leaders will be presenting any ideas they have, action plan, strategy, any message that they want to share with the young professionals. So this will be shared. This will be sort of the message that will be shared in our YouTube channel from you to the Region 3 young professionals. Okay, so to start off that session, I would like to invite Jill to present her message to the young professionals.
Sure. So a lot of this are, as the brand new region director, a lot of these things I'm going to say are things that I am currently trying to implement or maybe have even already gotten a head start on last year. But all of these are my ideas of how I want to better integrate YPs into our region. The first thing is specifically that. I want to get them very involved in the region level, like in our committees, in whatever way I can, not only because I think that's good for the region, good for the YPs, but I also want to use that to set an example for the sections so that hopefully the sections will also find ways to get YPs more involved. And I started on this process last year in that we sent 5 YPs to a YP conference, the EVO conference. And my thought was to send them there, get them to pick up ideas from other YPs and from the conference itself, and come back and find ways to make use of those ideas and a way to integrate those 5 people into some of our region committees. And I'm happy to say that all 5 of those that went are serving on some committee or in some form for the region. Also, in order to do this, we needed to get more people. I wanted more than just those 5 on our region committees, and Hopwell was very helpful in that. As the Region Y3 coordinator, he serves on our nominations committee, and he helped get even more people involved on various committees. And part of the reason to get them involved on the committees is for succession planning. You know, as we move forward over the years, we can move them up to chairing committees or, you know, larger positions. So we want to have them involved as deeply as possible and help them prepare for larger roles in the region and give them roles that help us drive the entire strategy for the region, not just the YP strategy. Another thing that I'm doing is trying to encourage people to participate in the VOLT program. Some of you may have heard of it. It's volunteer leadership training. And in this instance, last year I encouraged someone to apply for it. He did participate in VOLT last year, and actually his project was the project he participated in was the winning VOLT project. And he is now serving on one of our committees at the region level, and the committee he's serving on, he also serves as a representative to an IEEE USA committee. So he's not only involved in the region, he's involved in IEEE USA. So I'm glad to find ways that we can get YPs not only in our region, but representing our region on other committees. Another thing that I think is important is that when we have YP meetings or events for YPs, I think it's important that the YPs themselves are the ones that are driving and organizing those meetings. Often we have YP meetings that are organized by someone my age or someone who is, you know, far from being a YP, and we don't always understand what the needs are, what the best way to present is, that kind of thing. We need the YPs really running those meetings, and I want to encourage that. And also then when the YPs are organizing meetings, I want to continue to encourage them to not only be reaching out to other YPs, but to involve all others across IEEE, involve maybe a mentor program with life members, or, you know, somehow involve students. In fact, that's what I would say is another thing that Hopwell actually brought to my attention, and I'm fully on board with it now, is that I want to have the YPs involved with the students. Hopwell is serving as a member, essentially, of our Student Activities Committee, so that the students can gain knowledge from our YPs, especially during that transition from being a student member to becoming a professional member. I think it's key to have the YPs provide insight and guidance to them. So I'm happy to see that Hopwell and any future YP rep that we have will be involved with our student committee. And then, so another thing that Hopwell brought up that I think is a good step forward for our region, and I will continue to support it, is having instead of just having a single YP coordinator, we have created a YP subcommittee. So Hopwell can create his team to help him put into place the ideas that he has, and work with that team to, you know, gain other ideas and to build their plans. So, kind of in summary, it's really all about making sure the YPs are involved throughout all the different areas of our region, committees, and the events that we do, and finding ways to help them have the kind of events that they need and that they want, that meets their needs. And then building a larger YP program within the region to not only help the sections see how much impact the YPs can have when they're fully involved, but also to help the YPs then get involved in a broader expanse of IEEE. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jill, for those kind words. And your support is what makes us successful. And without your support, we would not be able to function to the level that we have right now. So we are really appreciative of everything you're doing on behalf of the young professionals. Now, on your screen, you will see the affinity groups that we have in Region 3. So a surprising fact is that of 41 sections in Region 3, we have affinity groups only in 11, uh, 11 sections. So we do have a lot of potential to go by Director Gustin's team making new connections. There are a lot of new connections that we can make. So if you are from any of the areas that are in gray color here, do feel free to reach out and make a new affinity group for young professionals or any other affinity group, women in engineering, life fellows, whatever it is. But we have a lot of potential to create new connections, and it's her theme for 2020. Now, for the next presentation, we have our, our Region 3 Director elect, Teresa. Teresa, over to you.
Thank you. Um, so my number one goal is to support Director Gostin and what she wants to do, making new connections. And to piggyback on what you just said, I would like the region to provide more support for local sections and councils. I think that's where we have the biggest impact on the members is at the section level. And as you noted, we have a lot of sections, the largest number in the U.S. Some of our sections are struggling, and we want to help them thrive. And that's, I think, a big part of Jill's thrust in making new connections. And so we're talking about ways to have events and meetings in different sections to give them exposure and support. And we're also excited to use PACE funding to help events that would support YPs and our other members. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Teresa. Your support and especially your work with the PACE funding really helped me and our sections. I can talk in behalf of the Piedmont section. It really helped us, and it was something that encouraged our people to go in for professional development. So thank you for everything you're doing for us. Now I would like to invite uh, our President-elect of IEEE, Kathy Land.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to try to talk more quietly because I got a note from someone that my microphone is really loud. So is this too loud? Am I speaking too loudly?
It does drop off a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Kathy, it does drop off a little bit sometimes. So if you can maybe talk a little bit closer to your mic, something like that, and just decrease your
Oh, am I? Okay.
speaker.
Well, I was speaking. I was speaking quietly because somebody said my microphone was really loud. So I'm just trying to get the volume right. Is this a good speaking volume?
Yes, for me.
I'm trying not to blast everybody.
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay,
loud
all right.
and clear.
Yeah, it's a new computer, and I don't have a microphone. I'll buy a mic for next time. It's a learning experience, and my apologies. All right. So thank you again for the invitation. And so I'm really in Region 3, but also just I have a perspective of the YPs. I worked with the YPs in TAB, a big supporter, and now I've seen the YPs in Region 3, and then now I've seen the YPs across IEEE. So I'm really talking to the YPs as they are in Region 3, but also really across IEEE. So, IEEE is the world's largest technical professional society, and our core purpose is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity. That's our mission. And we are all committed to elevating our professional image, expanding our global network, and connecting to our peers locally. And there's no better example of this than at the region. So my years of membership at IEEE have reinforced for me the relevance and importance of how important it is to have these professional associations, how important something like the YPs, the affinity group, are for young professionals coming up. There was nothing like a YP affinity group when I was in my 30s and my late 20s. Extremely important. I see the impact it's having on our young professionals. I want everyone to know I'm extremely committed to making sure that young professionals as an affinity group succeeds and continues to be strong and continues to grow. And I hope they saw that from me when I was TAB Vice President. The one thing I want everyone to understand is that, or the young professionals listening, is that when you find people like yourselves, and this also goes for the people that are just regular IEEE members listening, you find people who explore your passions, similar passions within your professions. Whether you work in industry, in government, or in academia, you have knowledge that you share. You'll find resources, both professional and personal, that can aid you in attaining the advances you want to make within your field. And that's basically what YP is all about. How you leverage the resources that YP can offer. That's what you do. That's what the value you can find in YPs. Young professionals, which encompasses members from recent university graduates to experienced professionals. There's a wide range because you only have to be a recent graduate. So we have people that are YPs that have gone back to school, and it also includes entrepreneurs. And we have members in YPs that are from all over the globe. When I talk to YPs, they're some of the most innovative, dynamic members and volunteers that we have in IEEE, aside from some of the students that I've met. When I traveled last year campaigning, some of the most exciting moments of that campaign were when I were interacting and meeting with YPs and students. What's really exciting is that YPs offer the building blocks to our membership, this affinity group membership, to build lifelong and a lifelong and diverse professional network. So I think we focus on the activities that YPs are doing and all of the different maybe conferences, but it's really, I think, the tools that we're providing the YPs that's what's really important and what we need to really think about some of these tools. And I look at the free webinars and a lot of activities that you have posted on the website, and they're just incredible. It's a very diverse range, and you're to really be commended for the activities that the skills that you're providing for the YPs. Let me see a couple of things. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the YP business plan that they have posted and how many have looked at that. I would encourage you to look at that if you've not seen that. There's three things I wanted to point out that I wanted to make sure that people knew because you wanted to talk about, what my vision was or what my strategies were, and they really relate to that at that global level. And one is they talk about allowing young professionals to have access to technical articles through IEEE Explore through their membership, their young professional membership. Now, that is not something that is really feasible. I believe in blunt and speaking the truth. But what I do want to see is something where we could do a pilot, where we could provide maybe renewal incentives where, and I want to see this for all members, but I really want to see a pilot for young professionals where if people renew at a certain point or renew early or something like that, that young professionals would get access to 2 downloads, which is not something we provide now, 2 or 3 free downloads. And the other thing, just incidentally, is I really want to push. I don't know if people are aware, but if you publish and your publication is published in Explorer, as an author, you don't even get access to your own publication for free. That's something we need to correct. So that's also something I want to pursue. Another item is in the YP plan is micro-volunteering. This is something that the young professionals have been experimenting with. They've been very successful. This needs to be continued. I support this, and we need to expand this to allow for other volunteers, which it's been, we've seen the expansion throughout IEEE, but we need to allow not only young professionals, but other volunteers to self-select short-term volunteer opportunities. And then lastly, the young professional student events and meetups. In my opinion, these are the heart of the young professional program and offer much to the young professional participants. And these should continue, and we need to expand the funding for these types of activities. I guess that's really sort of I wanted to pick those 3 things and highlight them and let the young professionals know that how I feel that you're a part of IEEE's core strengths. You're the next generation, both of membership and our volunteer leadership. And the enthusiasm I see and the sense of camaraderie help bolster our efforts to build a strong partnership and cooperation through the IEEE community and with others that are not members of IEEE. And you're an example for others to follow. And so I thank you for being part of IEEE and encourage you to continue and to do the great things that you do, and encourage all of the Region 3 YPs that are on their path of self-development and growth. Encourage them to get involved and volunteer and become active participants, and email me and let me know what I can do to be a part of the Region 3 Young Professional Program, because I'll do whatever I can. And that's what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kathy. So now we go to the final part, but I guess this is the most exciting part of our session, and I don't think this has ever before. We are going to open up the mics for you to connect and share your thoughts uh, and questions and feedback, whatever you have with our leaders. And to moderate the Q&A session, I would like to give the controls to my co-host, Patrick Campbell.
Thank you, Hasala. And again, thank you as well, Jill, Teresa, and Kathy. That was very useful information, especially for your vision, both for Region 3 as well as IEEE USA. With that said, quite a few people sent in some questions beforehand that I'd like to try to get through first, if y'all are open for that. And these questions are in no particular order at all. But the first one that came to mind from was discussed previously is, the first question is, I do not have a YP affinity group in my section. Does this impact the value I get from my membership? And is there a way that I can remedy that? And how do I start a YP group in my section? Jill, Teresa, I think that might be towards y'all, maybe.
Sure, I'll start. I think that it does limit it to some extent because I think one of the big values of having an affinity group is the socialization, the networking with people that are close by rather than someone who's in another region. And I think that when you have a local YP affinity group, you can plan things specific to your own interests, and you can help drive what those events are, maybe a little bit more so than you would be able to drive your section or chapter to have an event. If you've got other YPs, you can organize your own events. So I do think it is beneficial to have your own group in your section. It doesn't take much, and I don't remember all the exact details on how to form one, but I know Hasla has it, and he can either tell us or tell us where to find it. I know it will be in the upcoming newsletter. I think it says how to form a YP group. Hasla, can you respond to that?
Yes, ma'am. So IEEE MGA, so MGA has changed all the petition processes to an online platform. So if you want to make a new organization, you need to do a petition, and it's all online. And you can complete the process within 15 minutes, and I have done it within 15 minutes. So it's a seamless process, and you just need to fill in some boxes and just submit it. But make sure that you talk to your section so that the section chair is aware of what's happening before you submit it. But at the end of the day, the process is very easy. It does not take a lot of effort from the initiator's side.
So you have to have
Excellent.
signatures of a certain number of YPs or anything like that, like you do for forming a chapter, for instance?
Yeah, so we need six signatures, if I'm not mistaken. It's six signatures for the formation of an affinity group.
Yeah,
But
I
we
think
can
that's
share
right.
yeah, so we can share those information if you send us an email. If any of the young professionals who are interested can send us an email, we can share the information with you.
And so I think the key there is, since it only requires 6 YPs in a section, I think every section that we have should be able to have a YP affinity group.
Yes, ma'am, I agree. I fully agree with you.
And I'd like to add that as a former section chair, and I'm sure Jill will agree with me, I can't imagine a section chair that wouldn't be delighted to have someone to volunteer to set one up. So I think it will be well received if you're considering doing that.
Yeah,
So
I
to
agree.
follow up with that, oh, sorry. So to follow up with that, then it would be reach out to your section chair, reach out to Hasela, or Jill or Teresa. If you do not know who your section chair is, and I've met YPs that didn't even know what a section was, and that would be a first way to start towards that, finding out who other YPs are in your area. Is that correct, Teresa, Jill?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And Hansel, if you're sending out some information after the meeting, feel free to give my email address. That would be fine for anybody to reach out to me.
Sure, I will do that.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. And we have a different question from one of the people that are currently online. I am new to this membership. I'd be happy to participate in the events, but how do I go about doing that? TJ, Jill, Teresa?
Yes. So every section that has a young professionals affinity group, they will have all of their meetings posted, usually on IEEE V tools. And actually, a lot of the events that are posted on IEEE V tools go directly to the main young professionals webpage, I believe, so you can see all of the meetings around the country or even the world. Um, that's where we post them mainly, but also we post our events in we have a newsletter on our section. We have our very own website, things of these nature, where all of the meetings that are upcoming will be posted. Also, if you're in the young professionals in your section, should be getting emails from your section chair on what all is coming up. And if you're not listed as a young professional, it's easy to add. You can go to IEEE and add as a young professional to be linked into your chapter. But yeah, that's how you can access the upcoming meetings in your section.
So I would add to that if you are not getting notified of any YP meetings and you know that you are, listed as a YP, then it could be that your section does not have a YP group or the YP group is inactive. And the best thing at that point to do is to try to reach out to your section chair. And if you don't know who that is or you can't get a response from them or can't get a hold of them, then reach out to Hasla or Teresa or I, and we can help you. Either to find out what's happening with the YP group or if they're inactive, how can you help to restart it and get some activities going?
And so a follow-up question to that would be, what kind of leadership opportunities? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
There's also the IEEE app. If you go to the App Store, well, I haven't done, but you can download it. It works for Androids as well. That app allows you to see the local events in your area as well. So it's a pretty convenient way to see what's going on locally.
Thank you so much for that information, Kathy. I personally had no idea that we had an app. So at least that's an easier way for me to keep track of everything other than logging into the vTools. And then a follow-up question.
Yeah, it was released. It was released.
I'm sorry, Kathy. When was it released?
Yeah, sorry, there's a delay. It was released in December, and if you just go to the App Store and search on IEEE, you'll see it, recognize it. It looks like the IEEE emblem.
Excellent. Thank you so much. IEEE emblem. And so a follow-up question to that is, what kind of leadership opportunities are there for young professionals in IEEE? Jill, TJ, y'all want to take a stab at that?
So I can answer for the region level. As I said, we are trying to find ways to integrate more and more YPs into our committee and even on committees that serve other areas of IEEE. And I would invite any YP that is interested in being involved at the region level to talk with me, and we'll find a way to get them involved. I know that on the YP committee, that subcommittee that Hasla is forming, I think there's even an opening on that committee right now, and we always need people that can help, even in smaller ways, help plan an event, help work at an event. So if someone is interested and they want to get involved at the region level, they can come talk to me and we'll figure out how to get them involved. And if they want to get involved in some other committee across IEEE, we can talk about that too, about what the possibilities are out there as far as helping them get a nomination submitted for a committee they may want to serve on. If they've had some experience with something, we can help them get involved beyond the region.
As far as at a section level, I would have to agree with what you just said, is that if you were to reach out to your section chair and tell them that you want to be involved and help out, they're going to be glad to have your help. Sometimes it's hard to find, help at the section level. Sometimes people feel that if they volunteer, that it would be a big commitment and would take a lot of their time. And I always tell them, the commitment is what you make of it, whatever time you have available for yourself. It doesn't have to be a big commitment. It could be a small commitment. But any help is always encouraged and appreciated. So yeah, if you were to reach out to your chair, they would be happy to have your help.
Excellent. Jill, TJ, thank you so much for that. I know as well from my own section chair, they're always desperate for people to volunteer throughout the section in any way whatsoever that they can get them to volunteer.
Patrick, can I add to that?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is Jill. And Kathy may be able to fill in some of this too. I know a couple of years ago, the IEEE YP committee created an app or some kind of a tool where you could find volunteer positions. You could go in and enter where you are and how much time you have to volunteer or the things you're interested in, and it could show you some of the volunteer opportunities that are nearby to you. I think that's still only available to YPs. I'm not sure if it's been expanded anymore or if it's.
I think that.
But
that's all been incorporated into that same app. They took what they did when they built this new app is they built it on the base of the YP app. So my understanding is it's all in that one app, but I would have to go back and look.
Okay, so you should be able then to go onto that app and look for volunteer opportunities.
Exactly.
Excellent.
The app is pretty. You can go and read all your publications. You can. I mean, it's pretty. You can go into Collabortech from it. It's pretty robust.
But
and
you can
one
go
more
into
reason
it
to download the app. Oh, sorry, Joe.
Yeah, no, that's true. But
Yeah.
you can go onto the app and it will show you other IEEE members that are close to you. So like if you're at a conference somewhere, maybe not even an IEEE conference, you can pull up that app and see what other IEEE people are around you.
Well, that'd be very useful. Just trying to, when you're visiting a different city and you're trying to find out if there are any events going on while you're there. So thank you, Jill and Kathy, for both of those updates. My next question that I have is probably going to be more for Kathy and Jill. In my personal interactions, besides IEEE meetings, no one in industry seems to care or encourage IEEE membership. Why is that?
Okay, so this is Kathy. So I would guess that would depend on the industry you're in. Some companies do encourage it and they actually pay for it. And some companies don't, and they do discourage participation. So I know personally I have left 3 jobs for IEEE, and that was usually earlier in my career, and it was when senior leadership or senior management in the company changed, and they stopped supporting my IEEE participation. So what I tell people is if they're in a company that doesn't value volunteer technical growth, volunteer participation in IEEE or another, association, and they don't value your personal growth, that's a personal decision you have to make. And, it was one I made. So I'm telling people sort of what I did. But many companies do value it. So I don't, and it's up to us. IEEE has to work at communicating the value proposition to companies, and that's one of the things that we are doing with our corporate affiliate membership. We have run an experiment for 2 years. It's not done a very good job with that program, and that's something I'm looking to expand next year. It's on my list of things to do. But it's a direct bundle that we market to companies, and it will allow them to pay for memberships to their employees.
So I think that it's not really that the companies don't support membership in IEEE. It's that the companies don't support IEEE or support memberships in professional societies, which include IEEE, of course. And like Kathy said, I think that the reason for that is that the company's industry is not understanding the value that they get and that their employees get from IEEE. And I can give a short example of that in that I was not getting the opportunity to move into any management or leadership positions at my job for a while. And so I turned to IEEE and, became
or as volunteering for IEEE's
leadership opportunities and positions. And I used that, my IEEE leadership experience, to move myself forward in my own company and get into a leadership position. So IEEE gave me the opportunities that I wasn't getting through my job. IEEE also offers, all sorts of free training, professional development type activities, either locally or through things like the Center for Leadership Excellence, that companies sometimes pay a lot of money to have someone come in and teach things like that to, to their employees. At the Georgia Tech Research Institute, I served as what we call our awards council chair for several years. And one of my jobs was not just talking about awards, but talking about membership in professional societies and how important that was, not only to each individual, but also to Georgia Tech research. This is not the academic side, this is entirely the research side, and how GTRI values it and why they support that kind of membership. So I think part of it is we need to do a better job of helping industry understand what the value is. And Teresa might be able to add some things to that through PACE, about PACE, how there's some training there.
That's right. Anything that's not technical, like program management, doing presentations, technical writing for reports, how to pitch ideas, all that stuff qualifies for PACE funding. So you can put together an event if you have someone in your section who is really talented at one of those things and is willing to give a talk, or if you know a panel of people that could talk about program management, set up a meeting and PACE funds would be available to cover half that cost.
Thank you so much, Kathy, Jill, and Teresa. And as a follow-up to that, how can I get help from IEEE to enhance my career prospects, which leads directly into what Jill was just speaking about, as well as Teresa. Jill, Teresa, Kathy?
So I missed the last word of the question. What was the question again? How can joining IEEE and getting help from IEEE help enhance my career prospects, which ties in exactly to what you were just talking about. Right, and so like I said, I think it gave me leadership experience that I wasn't being able to get at GTRI, and part of that, so I worked full-time 10 years, and then I was part-time for several years when my kids were young. And because I went part-time and when I was working from home, I got out of the mind of the leadership. I wasn't in any succession planning type thing. So to get that leadership experience, I turned to IEEE. But also, you have to take into consideration all of the people that you meet and the networking that you do and the contacts you have who can help you point to maybe different opportunities in different companies. So I think IEEE can help vastly in job prospects and career advancement.
And I'd like to add a couple of things. Every month you get access to a free ebook. There are webinars, there are short courses. when there's a whole bunch of stuff available to you at no charge that can help you in your career, and then some stuff that you have to pay for. Also, you're encouraged to present your work at conferences. And if you aren't ready to give a paper at a conference, you can volunteer at a conference and get to know the people who are doing the leading research in your work. So I think it's a great way to advance your career.
So I'm just going to pile on, but what Jill and Teresa have talked about are really improving your soft skills and getting that information on your resume. That's really the number one way to improve your or enhance your job. Promotion ability, um, uh, improve, how you're going to get raises, that kind of stuff, and how you're going to get hired. I just did a talk at Rising Stars, and it was all about this. And the research I did for the talk was amazing because I didn't realize that recruiters, hiring managers, all the statistics, and I pulled recent stats from like 2019. And usually you'll find stats and they're at 40% something. It's not shocking, but these stats for 85% of hiring managers and HR recruiters look for soft skills when the technical skills they look specifically for technical people soft skills. So the skills that lead, volunteer experience provides you are what give you the edge in the marketplace. And that's what being a young professional does for you. That's what's important. Besides, it's fun.
And I'll follow up, Alex and Paul, on one more. My first job, the person that hired me, the CEO, was an IEEE member, and my reference was a fellow IEEE member, and they knew each other personally. And my reference basically shoved me towards his friend, saying they've got an open job. So it's also a great way to network. But that's just my personal experience. With that said, we have a slightly different track. Does YP support or have any support or tools to help obtain higher education licenses and any information on conferences or more events that are open to YPs throughout the year? I think this might be more of a TJ and Teresa and Jill question.
I don't know that I have a good answer for that. Hafla might actually have a better answer than I would be able to give. Hafla, do you have any place to point them to or information?
So we don't specifically have any support for higher education, licensure, conferences. It's just there are lots of stuff happening around which will support these goals. So licensure, I mean, if you look at Region 3, the people who run the licensure, who are in the board, are all IEEE members, so you can get help from that. And the IEEE USA recently did a webinar on how to get your PE. And for higher education, we have so many people volunteering in IEEE circles. So though you can't really get an opportunity officially through IEEE, I have known people who got opportunities for uh, for higher education because they knew someone by volunteering for or participating in IEEE activities. So in my view, as far as I know, IEEE supports all these, but not directly. So I do not know if so. Maybe Kathy can comment more on this because she was very involved with TAB. Uh, Maybe there is a strategic goal to get something on from the lead side of the leadership, but IEEE does support, but not directly. That's what I think my answer will be.
For me, at a local section level,
So can
what
you
we
repeat?
do.
So, Kathy,
I'm sorry, you go ahead. I'll listen.
okay, you want to go first, DJ?
Yes, I can go first. At a section level, what we try to do in my section is for YPs. I in the past have done FE review sessions. So I get together meetings of people that are doing common things like me, like trying to get their FE. And we get together and we do review sessions, we do study sessions. So in that respect, you can join your peers that are doing common goals as yourself and create meetings around these goals and work together. Also, my section tends to do a lot of meetings that are helping to get your credits to continue to keep your PE. So they have tours at power stations, or they have like day-long seminars, and at the end of the seminar you can get credits towards your PE. These are things that we do in our local section to help along that regard. And not every section may have these, but that is what we do in our section. And maybe if it's not in your section, you could start something.
And so, Kathy, the question was, does YP support or have tools to help obtain higher education or licenses, or anything along those lines that occur throughout the year? Similar to what TJ was mentioning about creating meetings and having CEUs issued or PDHs issued at the end of those meetings.
Nothing formally, and they're hesitant. We just had a discussion of this at our strategic retreat. Toshio Fukuda, the current president, he is very interested in continuing education. And part of that discussion, of course, revolves around like certifications, that type of stuff. So there's a huge market that already exists that's related to, certifications. You think of the folks that do the PMP, right? So there's to get into that market is very competitive, takes a huge investment, and so not officially. That's the not actually doesn't do that, but it's, as he described, YP groups all over the world have meetups, they have study groups, they have, all you have to do is hop on Instagram and look and see all of the different creative type events they're holding to do these types of things, right? So the answer is exactly nothing officially, and I don't think they will in the near future. Although we discuss it and continue to discuss it, but they do things all the time to help each other. It's special interest groups and that type of thing. Jill may have more to add. She's here with me.
Yeah, so I'll add something not about the continuing ed piece that we talked about at the retreat, but there are some, we've kind of been talking more about certifications and continuing education, but part of the question was about higher education. And a lot of the societies and some sections have scholarships. So you can, try to search for some of the scholarships and apply for scholarships. I don't know of anything beyond that they do to help with higher education other than scholarships, though. But I think there are some things out there and hopefully some things coming that will help with those.
And I would like to add that a lot of the societies will also provide funds for students to go to conferences, which really does help.
Excellent. Thank you all. And actually, as a follow up and a segue to further what Jill was saying, and the next question uh, is does YP or IEEE have more information on obtaining a graduate degree while working? Any advice? Is there some kind of mentoring program that might be possible uh, through IEEE in some way? Jill, do you want to take that, or Teresa?
I can answer that one. This is Kathy. So there's a mentoring program that you can join through Collaboratech. So I don't know if you're familiar with Collaboratech, but it's a community online, and you can sign up for a mentor, and you basically any type of mentor, but you sign up for your interests, and you can sign up for one mentor or 5 mentors. If you don't like your mentor, you change your mentor. That's one way. That's what I would. That's what I had. Jill or Teresa, you have anything else?
That was the only thing I was going to mention was that mentoring program. I will also say that in our own region, one of the ideas that we are suggesting, so I'm trying to get every section and every chapter to do one new thing that they've never done before. And one of the topics we'll be talking about as a potential idea for something new they can do is actually to create a mentoring program within their own section. Hopefully some of them will do that. But the only thing IEEE-wide I know of is what Kathy just mentioned.
Excellent. I greatly appreciate that. And I have heard of Clappertech. I know that Hasela, one of his goals is to try to further the mentoring program through YP. Hasela, do you want to talk about that briefly?
Yes, so I understand the process that Collaboratech uh, has given us, or the opportunity uh, to get mentors and set the process. But I think my personal opinion is that we need to have uh, we need to lead it, and we need to make it happen, and I don't think it can happen naturally. So we are trying to get the region to give leadership on this, to find mentors and connect them. Uh, so we use the Collaborative platform, but my idea is that we just because we the region has a lot of potential mentors. For instance, we have a lot of so in Region 3, the strength that I find in Region 3 is the senior leadership and senior IEEE members. We have so many fellows, we have so many life members, life senior members who are really willing to contribute and join and support young professionals in their to be successful in their careers. So in Southeast Con, we hope to, with Patrick's help and with the help of our team, we hope to try make this connection at Southeast Con. Yeah, that's it from me, Patrick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hasela. I think the final question that I currently have written is, and this is going to be for Teresa and Kathy, why is the PACE funding vanishing?
Well, that's a good question. I was told that IEEE USA does not have enough funds to keep it going, but after they said that, they gave us more money. So right now through this year, we have funds, quite a bit of funds for that. And I know that my understanding is that the IEEE USA directors really would like to keep it going. And I think probably Jill and Kathy can speak to that as well.
Jill, Kathy, which one of y'all want to take that?
So I'll go ahead and just say that IEEE USA funding relies on USA membership. There's a part of our dues that goes to IEEE USA, and USA membership has been dropping, and therefore IEEE USA funding has gone down. And because of that, they had to cut some programs, and one of them that they are trying to slowly ramp down is the PACE funding. Fortunately, this year, so we had a specific amount they were going to give us this year, and they actually gave us that much plus even, so that was like $11,000 for the year. They gave us an additional $13,000 at the end of the year. And I think that was just because IEEE really had a good year this year. The funding ended up higher than they had expected with their budget at the beginning of the year, and so they had extra funds to give us. And like Teresa said, I think most of IEEE USA really, really want to continue that program, but the question is, where are the funds going to come from? I don't know.
Okay, well, thank
Kathy. I don't see Kathy. Mark may have lost.
Yeah. I honestly, Jill, Teresa, that pretty much, yeah, it's the money's where the money is, and you only have so much in the bucket, so I can sympathize with that. So thank you both for that answer. With that said, that's all the pre-written questions. Is there anyone else on the call who has any other questions for our panelists?
Bill, Steve, would you like to comment? Take 1 minute, and if you have anything you want to present to the young professionals or share with us. Bill Radcliffe, our past 2008 director, and we have um, one of the senior leadership of Region 3 who's been doing a fantastic job, Steve Camp, online as well. If you want, please, guys, feel free to share your ideas, comments, taking 1 or 2 minutes of this call.
I'll follow Bill out of respect for his seniority.
Does that mean I'm the oldest one on this call?
No, sir, it means you're the most qualified.
I doubt that. Just an observation that the young professional is as much of IEEE as any other member. In other words, we all individually are IEEE. And IEEE is really trying to be the professional home for all of us. And that's the key to developing your career, to developing your contacts, your networks, your civic responsibility, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And every engineer, every professional needs a professional home. And that's the hook, I think. People were asking why is IEEE or how is IEEE relevant? Well, we'll make it a professional home, and it won't be a professional home by name only. It'll be that because we welcome each other, young professionals, students, members, senior members. All of us are part of this gigantic family, and so engaging with each other is how we derive the benefit. Benefit for each other, the benefit for the profession, and the benefit for humanity as a whole. So I don't know if I could take more than 2 minutes. One other thing I'd like to say is that there's some effort to put together a presentation and work groups at SoutheastCon on mentoring. Dave Green and I are actively trying to conjure what we can do in 30 minutes. So it's going to be pretty brief. But as Jill said, it's really trying to get the sections uh, and everyone else interested in events around mentoring at the section level, or the chapter level, or the affinity group level. It does not matter. Um, and we'll see what kind of comes out of that. So I would invite you, if you're going to attend Southeast Con, look at the schedule, look at the what is being planned, and if you come to the mentoring sessions, there'll be two of them. We'll put you to work. So good job tonight, everyone. I'm glad to see WebEx being used this way and information being exchanged. Thanks.
Wow, that's a great act to follow. If I could jump in, thank you, Bill. You gave me two things to speak about that I hadn't thought of in the context of this meeting, but two things that are, I think, most important for everyone is member engagement, professional home. And professional home leads into the mentoring situation, and I think it's a lot better to have someone that's not in your direct reporting line as a mentor than your boss. It's wonderful when your boss is your mentor.
Excuse me, Steve.
Yes.
Would you be able to talk a little bit closer to the mic? I am. Yeah, the volume is a little less. From.
I'm sorry. I had moved my mic out of the way. Let me start over. Is this better?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I just wanted to augment what Bill had stated and call your attention to the fact that member engagement is a really key issue here, and professional home is a really key issue here. And the mentoring consideration is probably one of the most significant things you'll have in your career. And in my opinion, while it's great if your boss is your mentor, it's fine until there's a reduction in force or you're finding a job elsewhere, and then you lose your mentor at the same time you lose your anchor. So IEEE is a wonderful, wonderful resource for a workaround to that. On a technical matter, um, I'm wondering if you don't mind me dropping this on the table, if everyone shouldn't think about adding a position in their officer manifest in vTools, and that position would be YP organizer. And go ahead and appoint someone to the position of YP organizer, petition IEEE to add that function in your manifest, and it would help put the organization together and raise the visibility of the YP entity within the sections. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Patrick.
I think that's about all the questions that I have. And is there anyone else on the call? Bill, Steve, thank you so much for following up with that, especially with the mentoring. I know that my mentors were through my university professors that were almost all IEEE in industry. And then when I started my first job, I know I was a mentor for the interns and junior engineers starting. Um, and the mentor program uh, has been very beneficial for myself in my personal life and professional life. With that said, though, anyone else have any other questions before we wrap up the Q&A? Okay, Hasala, I think that's it on the Q&A. If you want to take it back.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much, Patrick. Uh, we have some interesting events planned for 2020, so keep your ears open and check your email for mails from the young professionals. Jill, Teresa, Kathy, and TJ, I'm very thankful to you for joining with us on a very busy Wednesday evening. Thank you, Patrick, for doing a great job as a co host. And, folks, we have come to the end of this event. We thank you for joining with us and hope you have a great rest of the week. I wish you all a very good night.
Thank you. Hope to see you at Southeast Con.
Thank you all. What a wonderful meeting.